Hello, everyone. Good morning to all the viewers. Good afternoon, good evening, depending upon wherever you are. I am Ralhan, KK Ralhan from Kaltimex, and I have the honor and privilege today to co-host this webinar on decentralized and highly profitable solutions for plastic waste and used oil, a technology brought in by Biofabrik. And before that, may I say to my esteemed viewers in Germany, Guten Morgen. May I also say to our esteemed and distinguished viewers from Indonesia, Selamat sore, Bapa Bapa dan Ibu Ibu. How can I forget Philippines? Mabuhay from all our viewers, friends, bankers from Philippines. Ni hao to our friends from China. And Kemonachin to all our viewers from Bangladesh, and I hope everybody is safe and well. I am extremely delighted to co-host, as I mentioned, along with Mr. Stefan Thiel, who is the head of the global distribution of Biofabrik Germany. If I may very briefly mention the format of this webinar today, after I pass the screen on to Stefan, he will take about 20 minutes to excite you and create a magic which only he can create and nobody else on that technology. And after his presentation, yours truly will take half of his time to make you aware as to what Kaltimex has been doing or intend to do in the next few years to come. That would take us about half an hour. We will leave the next 15 minutes for the questions and answers, and I would encourage one and all to please put down your questions, which between Stefan and myself will be very happy to answer as much as we can. And if we cannot, we will come back to you if the allotted time is over. Now, without much ado, I would like to pass the screen on to my dear friend, Stefan Thiel, Head of Global Distribution of Biofabrik Germany. Over to you, Stefan.
Thank you very much, KK, for this warm welcome. Of course, also on behalf of the Biofabrik Group, I would like to welcome all of you here. Good morning to everyone who is here with me in the European time zone. I'm actually located in Spain at the moment. Good afternoon and good evening to everyone who is in China, in the Asian region. So I would like to start this presentation by giving you a brief introduction on who we actually are as the Biofabrik Group. And KK, please over to the next slide for this. Okay, there seems to be.
Yeah, these technical glitches have.
Okay, I can already start by explaining a little bit about the Biofabrik without seeing the slide. Okay, here we go. So we as the Biofabrik Technologies GmbH, we are a German-based company. We are actually based in Dresden, and we are a company which is focused on the development, the distribution, and the implementation of technologies which are capable or which are developed to solve global problematic waste streams. Mostly we are focused on waste plastic and waste oil. And really our company philosophy, our DNA is to solve those problems on a decentralized basis. So what is the reason for this? We are very much of the opinion that those problems, which are really a global problem, there's not a single country in the world which does not have any issue or has a clean solution for plastic waste, same yields for waste oil. And we are very much of the opinion that we have to solve these problems locally. We have to solve the problem directly at the source of it. And we have to do this by implementing a good business case of doing so. By doing that, we are achieving, or the goal is to create value or make this waste a commodity. At the moment, it's a useless waste. It does not really have a value, and this is the reason why it's just thrown away, goes to landfill, it's just not collected properly. With our technologies, we want to create a commodity directly at the source, meaning people can collect the waste, bring it to us, we pay them for it, and we process it in our technologies, and just create a sellable product. So this is our company philosophy. We follow this philosophy since 2011. So actually, we just had our 9th birthday in November. 11th of November is our founding date, 2011. And on the right-hand side, you can see some members of our board. On the top, this is Oliver Riedl, our CEO, and together with Jörg Metzner, who is our CSO, those two are the founders of Biofabrik, and especially Jörg Metzner, especially Oliver Riedl had a very fundamental role in this. And also these markets which we are discussing here today, mainly Indonesia, Philippines, but also Thailand, India, Bangladesh, these were all countries which Oliver Riedl visited. And he just saw this beautiful landscape, he saw these amazing beaches, and yeah, there was a big problem. They were full of waste, and he thought, we really have to change something here, and this is really the founding history of the Biofabrik. We were actually found to clean up those markets areas, especially for the plastic waste. The last board member which we listed here is Benjamin Richters, and Benjamin Richters is our CTO, so he's the head of technology, and he worked for 20 years in the petrochemical and refining business, so he's very knowledgeable in the whole oil industry, and he actually built in his life more than 40 refineries already, and now we are very proud to say that he's building, let's say, our mini refineries. Over to the next. Perfect, now it's working. Excellent. So the technologies which we would like to introduce you here today are generally classified as the WasteX technologies. The WasteX technologies, all of them offer decentralized solution. They are highly profitable, and they do solve sensitive environmental problems for our planet. In the background, you can already see one machine, which I would like to introduce you in a second. It's the so-called WasteX Plastic. That's a machine which is capable of processing plastic waste into an oil. The oil is then either sellable or usable in a generator. And the second technology, which I will introduce you afterwards, is the so-called WasteX Oil. And this is a machine which is capable of processing different kinds of waste oil, like waste lubricant oil, contaminated diesel, contaminated petrol, and so on. Let me start by presenting the problem. So what is actually the problem with the plastic waste? On an annual basis, there are 140 million tons of post-consumer plastic waste generated each year. And this is just the post-consumer waste. The total value is around 400 million tons per year. Besides that, there are already billions of tons which are already stockpiled in landfills or are already in the ocean, in rivers. As a matter of fact, if we don't change our recycling behavior, studies say that by 2050 there will be more fish than plastic in the ocean. So no, the other way around, there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean. So that's a very shocking stat. Why do we focus here on the post-consumer plastic in the stat, saying it's 140 million tons of post-consumer plastic? The reason is that post-consumer plastic is especially difficult to recycle. Usually it's a mix of different polymers, it's very dirty, food leftovers are on there, other contaminates, and this is the reason why usually it goes to the landfill, goes to the incinerator, or is just not recycled properly. And our approach, as I mentioned in the first slide, is to create the value out of this waste, meaning plastic, which at the moment in most parts of the world has a negative market value. So if you want to dispose it properly, you have to pay for it, but we make a commodity out of it by installing a machine, let's say on an island in Indonesia, Philippines, making a commodity, and people start collecting the plastic themselves. By doing this, the environment will clean itself up, only given the incentive we make by installing our plant. So what is our solution? You saw it already a little bit as a sneak peek on on the previous slide, but this is our WasteX plastic here. And the WasteX plastic is a machine which uses a concept which is called pyrolysis. And using pyrolysis, we can convert contaminated and mixed post-consumer plastic waste into a synthetic crude oil, as well as energy-rich gases. So I will come back on the syn crude and the energy-rich gases in a second in the bullet points below. The machine is modular, meaning it's scalable, and of course, due to the fact that it's installed in a container, can be set up pretty much anywhere. We don't have a large footprint, and it's very easy to transport. What you see here to the right is a so-called WasteX Plastic P4000. A P4000 because this machine would be scaled with 3 additional modules. So you see a total of 4 modules in there to the right. They look all identical. And this machine would be capable of processing 4 tons per day in 24 hours. All of the machines run 24/7, completely automatized and remotely monitored. You can scale it to whatever size you need, and one module always has capacity of 1 ton. The machine itself converts 1 kilo of plastic to 1 liter of syn crude. And of course, the golden question for the business case is, what can you do with the syn crude? And the syn crude, there are 2 use cases. First of all, you can put it in a generator and you can produce electricity. So this is for remote areas, for areas where we don't have a stable electricity supply, a very charming solution. Out of a ton of plastic, we can get 3 megawatt electricity. This is our yield in terms of electricity output. There's a second solution which we can do with the oil, and this would be selling it to mineral oil trading companies or to petrochemical companies. And we, as the Biofabrik, we do have very good connections to all of the multinational companies, and besides offering our clients a turnkey ready solution, together with our distributor Kaltimex Energy, we would also sell the oil for you. So we would handle this oil for you. We would negotiate offtake agreements with the petrochemicals, and we would just assist you there. So we offer you the complete turnkey solution, including offtake agreements for the oil. The machine comes with a shredder and a substrate silo. So you can shred the plastic, it's stored, so you don't have to do the shredding 24/7. We can also offer additional pre-treatment like a drying. We work with a centrifugal drying or a washing for your plastic. This will always be decided, customized. What feedstock do you have? Does it come baled? Does it come loose? Does it come in big bag? There are, of course, a lot of different scenarios thinkable, and we will always look for a customized solution for you. And the machine itself needs very little electricity. The electricity needs we're having is 0.5 kilowatt hours per kilo input. And besides this number, now coming back to the energy-rich gas, which I mentioned in the beginning, we can also use the gas in a generator to produce the electricity for the machine, which means that 70% of this electricity need, which you can read here, will already be covered by a byproduct of our process, which is the syngas. So you have to imagine it like this. Our main output is the oil. This is by far the biggest fraction as well, but we have a byproduct, a side product, which is this energy-rich gas. And we do use this gas directly in the process to cover 70% of the electricity need. Besides that, the machine, you see it here, decentralized. We can deliver it in a 20 or in a 40-foot container. This depends on the machine size. So a 1-ton and a 2-ton machine would be in a smaller 20-foot container. Everything above we would deliver in a 40-foot container. And the complete process is fully automatized. So we have a completely automatized reactor. We work together with automatization technology with Siemens. They also deliver our control panels. And you will be capable of monitoring your machine from each device with internet access. So you can always access the machine from any part of the world, can see what is happening, how's the operation going. And we do exactly the same from Germany. So all of our machines which are delivered will be 24/7, monitored from our control center in Germany to always ensure a machine which is performing on peak performance level. Over to the next slide, please. Areas of application. This may seem like a funny slide because given the quantity of plastic waste which we see on a daily basis, but just on the top you see an outcome of a study. This is actually the study which I quoted earlier, that by 2050 there will be more fish than plastic in the sea if we don't change our recycling attitude. This same study also found out that by 2050 annual production of plastic will be 1 billion tons. So it will be more than double as it is as for now. So plastic production will definitely increase over the next years, and therefore it's important to also adapt our recycling behavior and our recycling technology. Besides that, the fields of application, the most straightforward ones are disposal companies. So companies who handle waste, who are waste management companies, landfill site owner, also operator of incineration plants are potential clients. Industrial companies, so we work a lot with petrochemicals, and a lot of petrochemicals also have a high interest in operating their own machine because they also need to get more sustainable. They're actually forced by the lawmakers to get more sustainable and use more sustainable oil sources besides the crude. And of course, also a lot of plastic producers have fairly difficult materials to recycle, which at the moment have to go to the incinerator or to landfill. There's really no way to recycle them properly. This is also a potential customer base for us. Besides that, gastronomy, shopping, and entertainment companies, when they are big and have a ton of plastic, we can operate there. And environmental organizations, I'm thinking there of NGOs and social companies, which are often specialized on collecting plastic waste from rivers, from the ocean. And still the question stays, what to do afterwards with the plastic? If you collect it from the sea, if you collect it from the river and dump it afterwards into the landfill, your environmental impact is not the greatest, to put it that way. I mean, you're not really helping anyone. Maybe you do help the fish and everyone else who's living in the sea, but the total impact is not so good. So what we do, we're now starting some collaborations with companies who are specialized on the collection part. And then the material, the plastic, is processed in our machine. We generate oil out of it, and the oil can be used in the engine of the vessel, for example, and the surplus can be sold. So still having a good business case. Lastly, cities, municipalities, in a lot of countries of this world, plastic collection is the obligation of the state, of the commune, of the state and municipalities. So of course also good potential customers, and as most of them are also in control of the grids, there's a good synergy of processing the plastic and putting it into the grid. Okay, so far about the WasteX Plastic, our pyrolysis unit. Now I want to swap over to the second technology which we mentioned, which is the WasteX Oil. Let me start with the problem. So what's actually the problem for the waste oil? Annually, there are 25 million tons of waste oil per year generated. So this is a lot lower than for the plastic. And also, if you have a look on the global recycling rate, it's 90%. So it seems at first glance quite good. But thinking about it, 90% still means that 10% is not recycled accordingly. And this is especially shocking if you consider that a single liter of waste oil can contaminate 1 million liters of drinking water. And in the end, all of the waste oil which is spilled somewhere, which is not recycled properly, which is dumped into river, the rainforest, the sea, somehow ends in drinking water or does contaminate and affect some kind of other sea animals. Another problem with this number up there, which I'm having, is that often the term of what is actually recycling there, it also includes a lot of basic recycling systems, like a basic filtration or centrifugal separation of the contamination in the oil. And what happens afterwards is that the oil is used in engines, but not as a lubricant oil, but as a fuel oil. Most likely it's in small motorcycles, etc. And the problem is that those engines are not made for filtrated used oil. They're made for petroleum, they're made for diesel. So this means that a lot of emissions occur. Our solution for the topic of the waste oil is the Waste X Oil, and it's a machine which can process up to 3,000 liters of waste oil per day per module. And of course, if you request higher quantities, we can also scale it up. So this system which you see to the left would be one module, and we can put another one in parallel next to it. And in a 40-foot container, up to 4 of those modules would enter. As mentioned before, economically and ecologically, all of our systems, out of pure idealism and philanthropy, we are of the opinion that you can make maybe a local impact, but talking about such big global problems, there must always be an economic incentive. Otherwise, it's really difficult to impossible to tackle those global problems. Mentioned this, 3,000 liters of oil is the throughput per day, and the machine is actually very compact and highly efficient. So what you can see there on the left, the size, the footprint of it is 1.40 meter times 1.40 meter. This is the bottom square, and it's 2.60 meters high. So it's very compact. It's like a bigger fridge, you could say. So really not too much space needed for the machine. Also, the efficiency, what we can get is an efficiency of 90%. So if you put in 1,000 liters of oil, you get out 900 liters of a clean product. And the residue can still be used. So the residue can still be used for the bitumen production or for pavement of roads. So it's not a waste, which you have to pay a lot for the disposal. It doesn't have a very high market value, but you can still sell it for a small amount for the bitumen industry. The machine itself needs 0.35 kilowatt hours of electricity per liter it processes, and again, it's completely automatized, and it comes with a touchscreen. So all of our machines, you can see it in the drawing on the left, come with a 22-inch touchscreen, and all of our machines can be accessed remotely and are monitored from Germany, from our operation monitor center. So what is this machine actually capable of processing, and what are the outputs? So basically what we can process are all mineral oil based feedstocks. So this includes waste petrol and waste gas oils. Those you most likely get from service stations, from a tank cleaning. The last 5,000 liters of a large tank cannot be used from time to time because it will get more sludgy. So this then really is a product which is not usable in normal engines anymore, and we can process them as long as it's still pumpable. So if we have waste petrol or a contaminated petrol as a feedstock, we get a clean petrol as an output. If we have a waste gas oil or contaminated gas oil as a feedstock, what we get is a clean gas oil as an output. Very straightforward here. The last feedstock which we listed here, the used oils, and this is by far the biggest fraction which we obtain, is lubricant oils, generator oils, hydraulic oils. Mostly it's all mixed together. And if we have this as a feedstock, we get a base oil as an output. Base oil, again, is a raw material for the lubricant oil production. It's perfectly sellable on the market for around 450 euros. Coming to the areas of application. So we listed the most important ones here, but of course there are other ones besides that. Same for the Waste X plastic. It's not a complete list, it's just to give you a basic understanding on where we can use those machines. But the biggest customer group, most straightforward ones, are the waste oil disposers. So waste oil disposers are companies which have trucks, and they go from one service station to the other one service station. I mean the stations where you change the oil for your car, for example. They collect the oil and then they store it. So there are also companies, have it listed as the second bullet point here, tank storage. Companies who are specialized on storing the oil. Of course, both of them are perfect perfect customer groups. We have industrial companies, generally companies who are working with big machinery. For example, the mining industry are excellent customers for us. Airlines, they do have a lot of dirty kerosene, but they also have lubricant oils from the engines of the planes, also good customers for us. Ships and ports, having some different waste streams, but one of the most problematic ones is so-called MARPL, which is heavier fuel oils mixed with very high water content. It's also something which we can process. And lastly, we have cities and municipalities. Again, depending how is the waste oil management organized? Is it done privately or publicly? If it's public, then of course we have to talk to the cities and municipalities. Okay, over to the next slide, please. Okay, so that far about our WasteX plastic and the WasteX oil machine. So again, to wrap up, WasteX oil is the machine we just saw. It's a micro distillation plant which distillates and cleans waste oil. The other machine which you saw before, the WasteX plastic, is a pyrolysis unit which is capable of processing contaminated mixed post-consumer plastic waste into another oil. If you have any further questions, you can contact us anytime. You do see my personal email there. It's stefan.thiel@biofabrik.com. And of course, you can also contact us via our website, which is biofabrik.com, or call us on the telephone here if you're in the European market area. I would now play over the ball to KK and Kaltimex Energy. So as we mentioned in the beginning, Kaltimex Energy is our exclusive distribution partner for the countries Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, and Bangladesh. So they are our exclusive dealer for the WasteX oil and the WasteX plastic technology for those 4 countries. And honestly, we are very happy to have them on board, as Kaltimex is a company which is specialized on O&M. So they will really support and help you with everything, the importation of the machine, all the legal requirements, the permitting process, the selling of the oil, the technical support. So together with Kaltimex, we can really offer you in those 4 countries the complete support. And now over to you, KK, giving you the chance to introduce Kaltimex yourself.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Absolutely an awesome. And as I expected it, I think you should call Biofabrik not the white refinery, but Biofabrik Cubic. It is such a wonderful, compact units for both the applications, which one is to bring the plastic to the end of life, and the other is to clean the various kinds of contaminated oils, and wonderful compact design. We feel absolutely privileged and honored to represent Biofabrik. Thank you, Stefan. And if I may, to our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, viewers from 15 countries today, if I may just take you through some of the history of Kaltimex. And I will not have so many slides as Stefan had, because we had the time in our mind that we should not cross few timing slots. So we were established in '96 in Indonesia, and so we would have been celebrating our 25th anniversary, but COVID had some other plans. We might do it once that we have the vaccine in there and that travel becomes a little easy. We have in Indonesia close to about 900 megawatt installed. We were the first IPP license holder in the private sector in Indonesia when we erected 23 megawatt of power for a private textile industry in a place called Semarang in Indonesia. We represent the world-renowned power generation products. That is our business model. And in the next slide, I'll show you whom we represent. And we started on the rural electrification business along with the PLN, which is a public sector company in Indonesia, electricity company in 2001. So almost like 20 years now. And we were operating diesel and gas power stations, but we have tapered down on our diesel power station because there has been now a newfound love and aim and objective to go on to the renewable energy side. And but we have been doing a lot of projects in cogeneration and trigeneration. And then In our pursuit to go for the renewable energy, we have, of course, found few technologies, and we love promoting Biofabrik, and it is our hope that this small step in bringing the plastic to end to its life, as well as to cleaning of the used oil, it will go a long way in cleaning and bringing the sustainability aspect into the entire equation. In Kaltimex, Indonesia, and of course in Bangladesh, we have this 9001 ISO, which is the quality management system, and 14001, which is the environmental management system. 45001 is the operational safety and health system, and we are almost qualified. I must say, qualified that we're about to get this 37001 certification, which probably many of you may not be aware, which represents the anti-bribery management system. So Kaltimex Indonesia would be the first among the group to have that certificate. As I mentioned, we have our total human, we're 25 years of operation now, and we have a human asset, human capital of more than 300 people. We have at this moment 100 megawatt genset readily available to be deployed, and we are looking at some nearby ASEAN markets where the emergency power is required. We'll be supplying there, and we have on our steam turbines. We in Indonesia we have installed over 300 megawatt, and our total installed capacity group wise, including Indonesia, Bangladesh, Philippines, and Myanmar as well, it's touching on 1,800 megawatt. Journey with the OEMs, that has been our business model. We represent some of the choicest manufacturers, the top-notch manufacturers, starting from Siemens Energy and MWM, which is a Caterpillar-owned business. We have large installations of their gas sets both in Indonesia as well as in Bangladesh. We represent from Tata of India, Voltas, their vapor absorption chillers. Wisman is based in Germany, their boilers, as is HTT for the boilers as well. Wabio is for the biogas, and haven't seen any technology which can bring in so much of biogas from a very little amount of biomass. And we are going to put in a few projects in Indonesia. And Biofabrik, we are talking about that at this point in time. We also proudly represent Opera. Last month itself, I and my friend Christoph had a wonderful webinar on the Opera, which we are bringing it to these Southeast Asian countries. And Equitech is another where we'll be having the technology for the chemical catalytic conversion to convert the waste into the liquid, into that fuel of a very high quality as well. With Global Green, we are doing waste to power, and Triogen is another proud association. We have it, and we'll be having a webinar with my friend Henning next month, and some of you will certainly have that invite as well. And so we are very proud to represent all these OEMs, and we carry them with a lot of passion in us. Just to give a brief how we are going to do and promote Biofabrik, we have got close to 300 clients in all these 4 countries, and it is growing. And we'll certainly have approached them already, and there is a very positive interest not only in Indonesia but also in Philippines and Singapore and in Bangladesh as well. So there is already quite a lot of traction which has been created even before this webinar. And you know, this market size is above 500 million people, so we are very excited to bring this technology in the region, and we have the local knowledges because all these places we have our CEOs and the teams operating, and they are equally excited to see how they can promote this new technology of Biofabrik. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, we have over 300 human assets with us, which all will be looking forward and deployed to see and promote these products. That was my last slide, but this one is just to give you that whom you can contact. We could be your first point of contact. But as Stefan said, don't hesitate to contact any of these people or Mr. Stefan himself. In Singapore, we have Purnima, who will look after your inquiries and who will make sure that you are attended to as quickly as one can. And Philippines, we have my good friend Oscar Toralba, who is the president in Total Renewable and Energy Efficiency Solutions. It is called as TREES, and as the name says, and he will be the first point of contact in Philippines. And Mr. John Jacob, he's our CEO and director in Kaltimex, Bangladesh. He can be contacted as well by our friends from Bangladesh. And Mr. V.D. Panchono, he's our senior advisor in Indonesia, and you can definitely contact him as well. And I don't have my email presented here, but I think you can go to our website, and I think it's very easy to reach me as well. I look forward to serving any one of you, all of you, to see this menace of plastic as well as the used oil to come down. Well, that was the end of our presentation. This is a wonderful moment. I think we always look forward to this question and answer sessions. And as I take on the questions as they come along, I must again thank you as warmly as possibly I can to all of you for giving your time, for giving your attention for this particular webinar, and I'll be delighted to answer any questions. Okay. Let me see. Of course, there is a congratulating message from Philippines. Thank you so much. The question is for you, Stefan. The question is, would Biofabrik be able to share actual case studies for both plastic and waste oil conversion, showing cash flows and economics of converting waste on site versus business as usual waste disposal? If there are any case studies, would you like to comment on that, Stefan?
Yeah, of course. So this is something which we are actually capable of doing. We can show case studies, and what we would also be capable of doing is calculating an individual case for your specific scenario. Because we do know, of course, in the waste management, there are certain patterns on certain parts of the world. The waste is, let's say, organized in that way or in the other way. But we can always individualize it depending on your specific case. So if you get in touch afterwards directly, either with me or with anyone from Kaltimex, we can see and we can start a case study for your specific case. I saw another question which is kind of attached to this. If we do have any specific projects supplied to Southeast Asia, so maybe this one is for you, KK.
We haven't got it, but we have few inquiries, and hopefully soon we will have one project, not in the distant future. But I may also mention that we have ordered already a few machines, both on the waste oil as well as on the plastic, and they are destined to arrive in the various destinations sometimes in the month of February next year, and hopefully then we will have the setup done. There is a question also. Stefan, that could we tell us about the management of the gas which is produced as a byproduct of the syngas?
Yeah, of course. So the actual pyrolysis process is the following. We put plastic in and we are getting three outputs. So we have, first of all, the oil, the pyrolysis oil, which is by far the biggest fraction. Then we have a very small fraction, which is just 3%, which is carbon black, which can still be used for bitumen production or paint production. And then lastly, we have the gas. And the gas is also a byproduct. And in classical or traditional chemical recycling or pyrolysis solution, this gas is just flared off. By flaring off, I mean wasted. And of course, this is something which we are not willing to accept, just waste a very high calorific gas. So what we came up with is a solution where we developed a generator. So we use a standard generator from Volvo, and we have modified it to our needs. And this generator is capable of using our pyrolysis oil. And this electricity, the pyrolysis gas, I'm sorry. So, and this electricity, which is produced out of the gas, we put directly back into the system, and it will cover 70% of the electricity need. Of course, we also have, let's say, a gas management system. So if there's any technical problem with the gas generator, we have a backup solution, fallback solution, and we can store the pyrolysis gas in gas bottles within our gas management system.
Right. I'll be taking another question, which is primarily to me, whether Kaltimex will be only acting as a distributor or would like to operate and these machines on commercial basis. So I may clarify that the intention of Kaltimex is only to act as a distributor, to promote as much as it can and to service those machines. We have no intention to be in this commercial business and compete with our esteemed clients. Once we have this demo unit in all these 4 countries, including Singapore, obviously anybody could visit that demo unit and see that. So there was another question. Somebody has commented that they see an opportunity to produce the chilled water by having the vapor absorption chillers, syncrude, or the energy enriched gas. I think this we can surely look at that, and if that combination is there. But at this point of time, our focus will be to handle the plastic and the waste oil as much as we can. There's another question. How much electricity can be produced if 100% of the oil and gas is converted to electric power? For 1 ton of machine, Stefan, do you have that with you?
Yeah, of course. So what we can produce out of the oil is a total of 3,500 kilowatt hours electric energy, and out of the gas it would be around around 300 kilowatt hours more. So we would come to a total of 3,800 kilowatt hours, or 3.8 megawatt, which we could produce out of a ton of plastic waste.
Excellent. There's another question. Is it possible to supply the output oil to have the good good quality to produce the plastics again in order to really make it a circular economy? And I think the answer is yes, because this crude oil can be sold to the chemical recycling companies, which they use it primarily to produce the plastic again. And indeed, it becomes a circular economy. But would you like to add, Stefan, on this something more?
No, you were on point there, KK. Maybe just to add, so this is actually what the petrochemical companies which we are talking to and discussing with and supplying then the offtake agreements for our customers. This is what they will be doing with the oil, because they use the oil and substitute the naphtha in the steam cracker. So as for now, they used kind of an oil which is derived from a crude oil to produce plastic. Of course, this is not very sustainable, seeing that mostly single-use plastic. So you use an oil, you produce a plastic, and you throw it away, the plastic, into landfill, or you just burn it in the incinerator. Of course, that's not a sustainable solution. So what we are doing is we extracting the oil again, we sell it back to the petrochemicals, which are of course also the big plastic producers, and they use our oil and produce virgin plastic again. By doing this, really closing the material loop.
There's another question whether these units could be available on rental basis as well. So my short answer is yes, definitely they would be available on rental basis. It will depend upon case to case, of course, and then we can certainly consider that. Please do approach our representatives in the 4 countries, and we can see how best we can help you. There's another interesting question, Stefan, which we did anticipate. Is the plastic is of some particular grade, or is there any limitation of the raw material quality? So over to you, Stefan.
So there's not a limitation on the quality, but there are certain feedstocks which we are not, certain plastics which we are not capable of processing. Those plastics would be, for example, a PVC, because it does contain a lot of chlorine. However, this is a material which we do not obtain a lot in the post-consumer plastic. It's more used on an industrial scale, for example, for window frames or door frames. What you get on a daily basis in terms of post-consumer plastic, all of the packaging, this is all something which we can process. And the quality is not important. So it can be contaminated, it can be dirty. That's no problem. And of course, it can also be mixed. So this is something which we are still capable of processing in our machine. Also, some multi-layers which are usually impossible to recycle, like multi-layer with aluminium attached, etc. That's paper attachment. That's all processable. Organic contamination.
Right. There is another question, but whether this technology can, from waste to energy, can the energy generated be enough to cater to the needs of a building? Now we don't know the size of the building or how much it is, but I think Stefan has given an idea that how much power it can produce, and you need the power to produce this pyrolysis oil, and which comes basically from the syngas. And if you need more power or you don't want to use that oil, then you can put the oil as well, because it's a dual fuel model system, Volvo system, and which can take both syngas as well as the diesel, and you can both of them to produce power if you don't want to sell the oil, but it actually depends upon the need. But if you use that syngas, would take care about the power of the unit itself. You will not need any further external power. Is my answer correct, Stefan, on the external power usage?
Yes, exactly correct.
All right.
I see another one here from Uwe Thelen. Good to see you here, Uwe. Good to see that you joined the presentation as well. So the question is, does the usually high moisture content of Asia Pacific waste feedstocks cause a problem for your pyrolysis process and the efficiency and the capacity output? We are prepared for this, so we can offer a complete pre-treatment system. So the pre-treatment system would include, let's say, a loading table for the plastic. It would include a shredder, but it would also include a centrifugal drying system for the plastic flakes. Because as a matter of fact, the moisture content is not great for the process, and this is the reason why we just dry it before the material goes into the process. Knowing that vast majority of our customer base lies in, let's say, tropical areas where we also have something like a rain season. So we are prepared for this, and you can use wet feedstock as an input material, and within the process in the pre-treatment, it gets completely dried up to 5%, and this is then no more problem for the machine.
Excellent. There's another question. I'll take it from IPDC Finance from Bangladesh. Hassan Bhai, of course, there is a lot for us to do in all these 4 countries. I'll be very, very happy. And of course, financial institutions always have a role to play, because we want to make this technology available to every nook and corner of Southeast Asia, to start with, first with the 4 countries. So definitely your help will be needed, and you have a lot of role to play in that. And I'm hoping that our Mr. John Jacob, who's the CEO there, he will be extremely happy to get in touch with you and take it further. There is
I have another
you
one
have another
here,
question.
which is for me. So also by a gentleman called Stefan. In your slide, Stefan, you mentioned the transformation of 1 kilogram plastic waste into 1 liter of zinc crude. This imply a yield of 100%, whereas pyrolysis processes are normally at 50% yield. Can you confirm the yield of the process? Okay, so if we talk about the yield, of course, 1 kilogram gets to 1 liter is something which sounds very charming. But as a matter of fact, this liter of output does not weigh 1 kilo, because oil is lighter than water. So what happens is that out of 1 kilo of plastic feedstock, we get 850 grams of an oil output, but this still is, in terms of the oil output, a yield of 85%. That's our yield, and then we have 12%, which is the syngas, and we have a 3% carbon black. But as a matter of fact, our process is a lot more efficient than classical pyrolysis, which you mentioned here with 50% yield.
I will take another question, probably the last. We have crossed our time slot, but we'll take it. The question is, can we take a turnkey system which can produce only electricity, and whether that technology is capable of running on the pyrolysis oil, maybe turbine? I think, as we mentioned earlier, sir, that you can produce 100% electricity if you want, but then you will not be requiring any oil to be sold anywhere, and the syngases, because the gas or dual fuel genset which will be providing with each unit will be capable of taking the oil and the gas as well. Stefan, can you clarify if the entire oil and gas can be taken for the entire production of power, or some oil will still be left out which needs to be sold?
No, what we can offer you is the delivery of the generator, which is customized for the use of our pyrolysis oil as well as the gas. So our engine is a so-called bi-fuel generator. It takes the pyrolysis gas as well as the pyrolysis oil. And we do offer this engine, this generator in different sizes, which starts at 80 kVA and goes up to a megawatt. So depending on your plant size and depending on your individual needs, do you want to use the oil 24/7? Do you only want to use the oil, let's say, during the operation of your company, 8 hours per day, etc.? We can offer you the right generator, the right size generator, but they all are capable of taking pyrolysis oil as well as pyrolysis gas, and yeah, use all of the feedstock available.
Right. There's another question, Stefan, which says that the minimum quantity of plastic required to make the plant financially feasible. I think all the models are financially feasible. Only thing is that if you buy only 1 ton plant, that will be more expensive than you buy 2 ton, 3 ton, 4 ton, or 5 ton plant. Your cost reduces, your capex reduces, and your profitability increases. So that's the only comment I can say. Stefan, I would also like to request you to mention something about the certification of the product, this oil, which you have, as to it has been certified by the German accredited company or so. Would you like to comment on that quickly, please?
Yeah. Of course. So the machines are first of all certified with the CE certificate. So the CE certificate is something, a lot of documentation lies behind, like the area classification, emission reports, all of this. So of course we also measured the emissions of our generators, and we had a third party which did this. So it's not something we did our own, but like an independent entity. Also, the oil has an CN code, so it's classified as a tradable product, and yeah, that's about the let's say the legal issues. So we are prepared in this regard as well.
Thank you, and thank you so much. I only want to say that some of the comments which we have received are very appreciative of the efforts which both Biofabrik and Kaltimex are making in bringing this kind of technologies to this part of the world. And we are thankful to you, all of those who have commented, those who have joined once again, and to my esteemed friends, bankers, and owners of their various businesses, as well as the top executives in some of the OEMs which we represent, and they had very courteously joined us, and our would-be clients as well. And thanks to you, Stefan, as well. And I'd like to thank our IT team who has worked behind the scene assiduously to make this our first Kaltimex organized webinar a very successful one, I believe. And I will be looking forward to some of you in my next webinar, which will be on AIDS with the Triogen. So these are my parting thank you to all of you. Stefan, over to you if you want to say a few words as well.
Yeah, of course. Also, thank you very much from my side to everyone who was joining in. Also, thank you very much to you, KK, and all the Kaltimex team for organizing the event. I think it was very informative and really appreciate everyone to be here. And yeah, wish you all a good evening or a good working day wherever you are. For me, it will definitely be now a good working day, and see you all soon. And looking forward to get your requests and the questions which we could not answer as for now due to the fact that we got so many appreciating comments and questions in. Just send them over via an email, and we will answer them as soon as possible. So thanks to everyone, and goodbye from my side.
Bye from my side.